bloody murder about, you have no idea the leg up I'm giving you here, boy, about a private school. And he was right. I was wrong. He was dead. I mean, the first day of 8th grade, I was like, this is where they are? Good Lord. When did the flashcards come out? Like, it was insane. It was like going backwards like by 10 years. So he was right about that. But when I went, all of my friends started playing football. My brother was a high school athlete, all the star athlete of the town, at least one of them, the whole thing. And I didn't want to do it. And nobody could figure out why. And I wouldn't tell anybody why. But it was the showering after practice, and it was the showering after games, naked in front of other boys and other men. And I thought to myself, no. Every time that happens, I get hurt. Something happens. You want something from me. This is about me doing something awful to me, not just a routine part of life. That's what's being taken here in those events. You absolutely get over it. You absolutely get through it, depending on who you are, what you did to get over it and through it. But it takes things from you. And it changes you. It makes you jaded. It makes you not trust. Not to go all Creed on you, but like, I didn't look at the world with arms wide open. I didn't. I looked at the world with arms folded over. No! Because of what happened. And that's what narrowly happened here in Oregon. It would be enough to traumatize you a touch. At 12 years old, those girls just are now about to get real smart and real savvy about what the world really is now at the ripe age of 12 years old. That's a little too fast to grow up, man. A little too fast now. But they know for sure now that the enemy doesn't always look like your enemy. Sometimes they're dressed up like your friend.
You're never too old for a good morning kiss. The Stansberry Show, Rock 106.9.
By the end of the hour, let's get you into the National. That show will be at Blossom in September. I'll have tickets for you all week. Around 8:45 is when we'll get you hooked up this morning. Now, my morning started a little bumpy. I came in, not a whole lot of stuff was working in the studio. We had to get IT involved. We had to do this, had to do that. And I just feel like I never really got my feet underneath me since. You ever have that kind of happen where it's like, you know, the first couple of minutes of the morning, like everything's just askew and you're like, one of them days. Just one of them days, man. That's kind of how I feel. A little Limp Bizkit break stuff. You know what? Maybe we'll yank that one out. That's just kind of where I've been all morning. I did see this, and unfortunately, I didn't see it until after we talked to Scott from waitingfornextyear.com yesterday on the program. But while talking quarterbacks around the league, it seems Adam Schefter believes that there are two hot names that can find themselves playing quarterback in New England. Now, Bill Belichick no longer a New England Patriot coach. Put a pin in that because we're definitely talking about that here in a second. They have now moved on and hired somebody else from their staff. I forget his name at this moment. You'll have to forgive me there. I apologize. But Adam Schefter went on Pat McAfee's program to let us know that the two names skyrocketing up the board for the Patriots to play quarterback are Jacoby Brissett, former Cleveland Browns quarterback, and Joe Flacco. Well, Flacco definitely earned a lot of like, oh, is there still some gas in that tank from last season? For sure he did. Absolutely he did. Jacoby, we know, is a better than average backup. Seems to be a solid dude, gets the guys in the locker room wrapped around him. It can step in and you feel as if, okay, we're not going to blow a game. You may not necessarily blow anybody away either, but you're not necessarily going to blow a game because of Jacoby. It happens, sure, but it's not like his MO. Right? It's not his MO, but he's better than average. I don't think the Flacco story in New England works as well as it does in Cleveland. A lot of reasons there. Expectations much higher. Yes, they just went through the Mac Jones era, but let's be honest, Brady's still reigning supreme up there in New England. We know that. Right? So expectations are there. Moving off of Belichick to a new head coach, it's going to be arms folded in the stands. Show it to me before we, are all in. There's going to be a lot of that. And the reason why Brady forced a divorce in New England is because they couldn't draft position players. They couldn't get him talent. He went to a Super Bowl ready team, personnel-wise, outside of quarterback, and won a Super Bowl. They were a quarterback away. That's why when everybody was like, dude, look at Baker, look at Baker, look at Baker. I'm like, at 9-8? Look at Baker? It's damn near the same team, which they're going to stick with Baker. Those of you that watch football and pay attention to the transactions a lot, Mike Evans signed a $50 million, $52 million deal? My guess is he's not doing that if they're not finding a way to keep Baker Mayfield under center in Tampa Bay. So we'll see what happens there. But again, Mike Evans, pretty damn good, right? And so, Brady went to a team, New England doesn't have the pieces. And Flacco stepped into a situation, let's be honest, there's an embarrassment of riches here for the Browns. Their wide receiver room could be bolstered a little by bigger names, for sure. Absolutely. I think Amari Cooper's a little underrated around the league, but it could be bolstered by bigger names, of course, and I think you may even see that. We'll see what happens here. But I don't think the Flacco story goes as well in New England as it did here in Cleveland. All right, man, we're kind of screwed. Here's the ball. It's just slinging around the yard a little bit. Let's see what happens. Versus, you're the guy all year. Get it done. There were a lot of interceptions from Flacco. That's what dudes with big arms do. They throw the touchdown ball, but they throw a ton of picks, dude. Ton of them. Every quarterback with a big arm is throwing a ton of picks, and Joe Flacco's that kind of guy. Our defense kept them in games after some of those picks would happen. Now you get to Houston, not so much, right? I mean, Houston had us on our heels pretty much 2-3 plays into the game. They just were not ready to play that day. The Browns defense, they just were not ready. It happens. It absolutely happens. But I don't think the Flacco story goes as well there as it does here. I don't think you have the players there. Again, Flacco, as I gave credit to Jacoby, but Flacco seems to have won over the locker room in Cleveland too. And Njoku loves him. Loves him. Then we heard yesterday that the Broncos are cutting Russell Wilson. They signed him to a huge amount of money, and now he's going to, hit the dead cap space at something like $40 million. It might even be more than that. You'll have to excuse me. And a lot of people saying, hey, thanks to Denver now making the Deshaun Watson contract only the second worst contract in NFL history. Not Russell Wilson's number one. I believe Deshaun can play solid football again. Top 5 quarterback, that's a different argument. But, can he be a solid quarterback that can stabilize and win games? Well, yeah, we saw it a little bit. His record as a starter was pretty good, right? And again, this always sounds so crazy, but that half against the Bears, but you could see it. It started to click a little. Now, I have said about Deshaun, I think he's a really good quarterback. I do. I've said it since he was at Clemson. He jumped off the TV screen. He does, right? But I do believe he's one of those athletes, you're not getting him every game every year. You're not. That's not going to happen. He's going to play 14 of 17 games probably. That's who he is. Maybe 12. 12's, honestly, at that point, I think we're kind of sad at that point. 14's a little bit better. But I was hearing on some pods over the last week that, get ready, and I predicted this 2 months ago. People thought I was crazy, but I was listening to some pods over the last couple of days that the 2 quarterback system is coming to the NFL. Of course it is. You've been seeing what's happening. Too many of these guys come into the league ready to play. Too many of these backups come in, and you give them a halfway decent roster. It's oh, damn, dude, look at this dude, right? So I think that that's going to be the system. We'll see what happens there in the long run. But do I think it's possible that Deshaun falls flat on his face and the Browns end up cutting him the way the Broncos cut Russell Wilson? Possible. I don't know how probable. Those are different words. I don't know how probable I think it is, but is it possible that you get to that point? Sure. Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. Now, the Sean Payton, Russell Wilson thing was never going to work. Ever. You can just, as a guy who's never met either one of them, you can just, on the outside looking in, you can look at those personalities and go, nope. Nope. Ain't going to get it done, baby. Sean Payton's old school. He ain't about that brand building. He ain't about that cheesing on the Instagram. Get your nose in that book. Get to practice. Do it this way. You do it my way. I'm the coach. You do it my way. He's a little old school. I'm surprised a lot of athletes are actually into the Sean Payton model. Now back to the Patriots with Flacco. I understand why they want him. And that's going to feel like a gut punch if he goes, but they're not the same old Patriots. At least not yet, they're not. So we'll see. By the way, those of you that have Apple TV, have you been watching Dynasty about the Patriots? Oh my God, it's so good. Now, it's a Robert Kraft production. Like, he hired the people. It's a Patriots documentary done by the Patriots. So you kind of have to, you know what I mean? Yeah, kind of have to be like, all right, this is Robert Kraft cleaning up some of his drama and some of his mess and some of this. But his son runs part of the team. Family business. So they get to the Aaron Hernandez episode. Those of you may remember, Aaron Hernandez had been accused of more than one murder in a season. He ended up committing suicide in prison because he had been convicted of murder, I believe. That's what he was convicted of. So they start talking about it. And they start talking about how teams will look at red flags of a player coming out of college and they'll ignore them over, well, he's going to be productive, right? He's going to be productive, right? So Aaron Hernandez is playing for the Patriots as this news breaks. He goes to the facility to work out. Robert Kraft himself looks into the camera and tells you, I told him, if you did this, just tell me. I will get you the best legal help you can get. We need to start thinking about you, not as a football player, but as a person. You know his ass was lying. You know that's not the way it went down. And Aaron isn't here to tell you that's not true, right? So, like, we know that's not true. But then he said, he told me he didn't do it, and I just believed him. Well, then you're an idiot. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, at some point, even though we're a family here, the Patriot way, it's like, dude, you kind of have to be suspicious of somebody at some point. Like, all right, man, we're going to go through this. So then the son, Kraft's son, starts talking about the differences between Belichick and the Krafts. And he says in the documentary, Bill is definitely much more likely to be the guy who's like, let's let it play out legally and then we'll go and do what we have to do with the team. And the son says then, I was looking at him like he was crazy. This guy's a murderer, he says. And then they kind of, screen goes to black. They start talking about, you know, some other issues around that thing. But it's like, dude, you literally just took Bill Belichick and threw him completely underneath that bus and drove over his ass in this documentary to try to absolve your involvement in whatever the hell was going on there with the Patriots, Aaron Hernandez, and what it is you did and did not know. Like, when I saw that, I was like, dude, you just told everybody watching this, Bill Belichick doesn't care if he has a murderer on his staff. That is a damning accusation. I don't care what decade it is. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't take my eyes off the screen.
To all the teachers who said he'd never amount to anything.
That is correct.
Lucky guess. The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansberry Show. 9 a.m. we'll give you New Church Tuesday. That's got new ministry part of that. A lot of ministry fans are the same people who say, keep politics out of stuff, man. Don't understand that ministry is just a political band. That's literally all they are. And probably has the exact opposite politics that you think they would have. Matter of fact, when I bartended his show, he had 2 giant inflatable Trumps on either side of the stage that were crying. And, you know, so many people are going to be shocked. It's like, dude, read the lyrics to New World Order, right? Like, you're going to find out, dude, Al is not what you think he is just because the music's heavy and coming from Marshall Stacks. Al is not what you think he is. But we'll give you some new ministry, new religion, the name of that. And we'll do that 9 a.m. for New Church Tuesday. All right, so I see this story coming out of Oklahoma about a fundraiser at a school, and now the district is apologizing for the fundraiser. Apparently, to raise some money, what was happening is students were spreading peanut butter on other students' toes and then licking and sucking it off as a way to raise some money. I guess the TikTok generation is... I mean, some of this is going to be blamed on that, right? Like the go viral, I saw this there, oh my God, this cool thing. But this school district is now putting out a statement talking about how this is not acceptable. We need to put an end to this. We don't know what the hell happened here. We are going to make sure this doesn't happen again. Here's what the school district had to say. Deer Creek students, staff, and families. On Thursday, February the 29th of 2024, Deer Creek High School hosted a student assembly called the Clash of the Classes, where 9th through 12th grade students volunteered to participate in various student-organized class competitions. In the spirit of raising money for this year's charity recipient as a part of our wonderful week of fundraising, the WWF they call that, there is a video circulating on socials of one of the activities that involves students only during this assembly that has, unfortunately, gained national attention. Quote, "We want to stress to our community that much of the information accompanying this video is inaccurate. However, through this specific game, we failed to uphold the dignity of our students and the proud image of our community. We have had a responsibility to protect our antlers and showcase them in a positive light. In regard to this one particular activity, we fell short, and for that, we greatly apologize. We are taking steps to ensure that this is not repeated and that all the fundraising activities are carried out with the pride and respect worthy of our students, staff, and community. We strive to offer a positive experience for both our students and the charity that our annual fundraising efforts support. This is an important part of WWF mission and will play an even greater role in future decision making. Moving forward, we want to learn from the experience and do better in the future. We want to acknowledge that hard work and dedication of many of our students and staff contributed to making WWF a week filled with activities and events designed to bring our community together. Our students who participated in the game in question, as well as those involved with all of our other activities, deserve our full support for their intentions. Their efforts led to the fundraising of $152,830.38 for a meaningful organization that serves the community far beyond the boundaries of Deer Creek. Thank you for standing with us and helping us to weather this storm and move forward together, Deer Creek School District." Okay, well, the problem is they did what everybody does. Hey, this thing that went viral that has everybody paying attention to us, it's not totally factual, it's fake news. Well, what is fake news about it? What was being reported that is inaccurate? It's inaccurate. Oh, is it? What about it is inaccurate? Can I have the specifics, please? No? Is it because you're just using big corporation speak here to tell everybody everything's under control? Is that what you're doing? Yes, we know that's what you're doing. What was inaccurate? Were children spreading peanut butter on people's toes and licking and sucking it off? The answer is yes. We've seen video of it. It's happened. Don't gaslight me into thinking this didn't happen when there's video of it happening. Like too much of that is going on now. Where it's like, we never said that, we never did that, we never blah, blah, blah. Go back 3 years, there he is literally saying it on day one. Like, there's so much of that happening now. Where it's like, and I hate terms like that, like gaslit and all this stuff, but like, that's a thing now. Where people are now trying to tell you, you're the awful one for being observant. It's like some people say, that's intolerant. It's like, what? Noticing something is intolerance now? Recognizing something is intolerance? No, I think hating somebody over something, that might be intolerance, but like recognizing something happened isn't intolerance, it's being observant. When the hell did we all lose our minds? Do I think licking peanut butter off the toes of students is all that big of a deal between students? I mean, it's weird. I don't know if I think it's like criminal or anything. Now, if you tell me a teacher's on all fours sucking the toes of a student, now we got problems. If you have a student on their knees sucking the toes of a teacher, I got issues there. If you force a football player to participate in something like that didn't want to, I have an issue with that. But I guess that's where we could come down on it overall, right? Is that you have created a fundraiser. I'm a decent person. I would like to be involved in the fundraising. I would like to help a virtuous company that helps us in our community far beyond the school district or whatever the hell else it is. Their PR department that they hired last minute told them to say about this. So, like, I want to take part in that. I would like to be charitable. Well, sorry, man, we got to suck Jif off your toes to do it. Nah, man, I'm good on that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have created this environment here where you're asking a kid to take part in something sexual. Don't deny it. You want to use the Pulp Fiction argument? You ever give a foot massage? Yeah, man. Giving 1 million foot massages. Got my technique down and everything. Don't be tickling or nothing. Right? The Jules from Inglewood. And then Vincent looks back and goes, ever give a man a foot massage? Next thing you know, they go into an apartment and murder a couple of people. But I mean, you take the point, right? If you walked into this studio and another man is rubbing my feet, you're going to be like, what the hell is happening in Stansbury Studio, right? Foot massage among sexual partners? That's all right. That's all right. Some of you are feet people. You're into sucking the toes. Feet are not my thing. Not at all. And you're going to be shocked to find out that feet are not my thing because of a traumatizing toe-sucking experience I went through. And I'll give you that sad story. And those national tickets, we'll do it next on Rock 106.9.
It's cool when you get up and you feel instantly connected to the world.
The Stansbury Show
I don't know what it is. I got them on every morning.
on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansbury Show. We're on Rock 106.9. You can find me on your socials, The Stansbury Show. And to text the studio, that's easy. It's 330-450-7625. We have been talking about this story out of Oklahoma where some students partaking in a fundraiser had the idea of spreading peanut butter on toes and then sucking and licking it off as a way to raise money for a charitable week that they do at the school district, which I'm for charity. I'm all for that. I like that. The school, of course, put out a statement and said, a lot of what you're hearing about this story is fake news. What about the videos I saw of it happening? Is that fake news too? You notice that, by the way? Everybody now just tells you how everything they hear on the media is not real anymore. Notice that? Everybody uses that card out of that deck now. One guy had been doing it. He's a lunatic. He's an absolute lunatic. Everybody taking that playbook now. Everyone does it now. Every athlete over every story you hear about, fake news, fake news, fake news, fake news. Every single, this school district, everybody now. Everybody just tells you everything that you've seen with your own two eyes that you didn't like. It's kind of fake news. Fake news. I said, the district says in here, a lot of what you're hearing about the story online isn't accurate. What wasn't accurate? Tell me what wasn't accurate. Help correct the record. Don't just ring the bell. Tell me what happened. Nah, screw that. We got to protect our ass here, so we hired this PR firm to write this little, 4 paragraphs that makes you forget what happened. They start throwing in there the money that was raised by it and all this other stuff to make people go, maybe it wasn't so bad, right? Like, it's kind of one of those things. As a matter of fact, we were talking about it, right? So plenty of texts came in, and somebody said to me, let's change the venue. Does it change the story? I said, what do you mean? I said, that sounds like an interesting, examination of it or a work through. So I don't understand what you meant, right? So the response came back, and they said, you find out that teenagers on their own on Saturday night just decided to dip each other's toes in peanut butter and suck it off and lick it. We think it's weird, but would there be a huge problem that there is because it's happening in the school? All right, well, to answer Brian, I believe is who it was, to answer your question, no, I don't think it would be seen as the same thing. I do think at that point you would probably be more in the it's just weird territory and these kids today are idiots territory versus we got to make sure this doesn't happen anymore. I think this is one of those times where the venue does matter, right? I can't believe teachers or administrators could be standing around looking at this and think to themselves, yeah, we're fine. Yeah, we're good here. I can't believe that. Again, I made it about the Pulp Fiction argument. Anything foot related. He threw Rocky LaHora out of a window for rubbing his wife's feet. What did Vincent Vega say? This man's wife. He had to know there's a reaction coming. He may not know he was going to get thrown through the glass, house or whatever, but he had to know a reaction was coming, and he should have known better. Peter, it becomes a sexual thing there at that point. First of all, what you're putting in your mouth is kind of sexual. Bill Burr said this 15 years ago. There's no half in, half out. It's not like you're like, balls, right? Like, that's not what happens, right? Whatever goes in your mouth, you're all in on. Like, you're in on that at that point, right? It becomes a bad visual for a school to have to defend. That's what makes it different. Versus what's happening in a bedroom of a junior is very different. Much like two kids in the 11th grade. Two boys, a boy and a girl, two girls, whatever it is, I'm okay if they have sex with one another. Right? I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is you doing it in the classroom. You doing it for the purpose of raising money for this. Is sex and licking toes the same thing? Well, of course not. But admit to yourself right now, you find out another man sucked your wife's toes at work today. How mad are you? You're mad, right? Clearly, her pinky toe is not her vagina, right? Like, we know that. I'm not crazy, but like, don't put her toes in your mouth though, right? I gotta be honest with you, if you slapped her, meaning my better half, if you slapped her ass in the hallway, which could be hard not to do if you watch that thing move around a little bit, all right? If you did it, I'm pissed off about that. What am I more mad about? You slapping her ass or sucking her toes? Well, the sucking of the toes, but I'm bringing too much stuff into this now. This may not be the best analogy. And the point is, the problem there is she's allowing you to put her toes in your mouth. So now I'm pissed at her, right? I'm mad at you too, but I'm really pissed at her. How dare you disrespect me like this, right? And so I'd be mad at her. Where a woman could just be walking down the hallway, somebody slaps her ass, and that had nothing to do with them. That could just be dudes being creeps. So that is a little different there. Okay, I'll meet you there. But I think the venue matters here. I think the fact that it took place in a school is the difference. No, I'm more okay with what people do on their own time, in their homes, on their TikTok channels. Fine, suck the toes. I don't give a damn. But like, once you're in school and we have administrators and teachers standing around watching it and they don't recognize that's a problem, now what my question is as a parent is, how many other problems do I have that you apparently don't think are a problem? How many of those do I have? And see, I always tell you, it's not always about what's happening that we're hearing about. It's about what could be happening, what maybe is happening, or what did definitely happen that we're not hearing about, is why everybody brings out the flashlights to take a look around. I may be taking this more seriously because I have a toe-sucking story. This is one of those I've told, I think, one time. It was back when I was doing afternoons, and I had put it away since, because it was one of the worst days of my life, and it's embarrassing. So my brother was a little bit of a bully, right? And so when David wasn't around, I would get bullied by some of the kids in the neighborhood. David kind of brought some of this on to me. Now, if he were home, they wouldn't mess with me because they know David was going to come run out of the house. I'm 7 years younger. And David is very much I'll do whatever I want to Danny. You, however, and he's the one person who's allowed to call me Danny, don't try it. I'll do whatever I want. You don't. It's my brother, you don't do that, right? So I'm outside one day with my brand new 18 toys, B.A. Baracus, right? And these kids took them all and they threw them up in the air and they fell on the driveway and they broke all my 18 toys. And I was so sad about it. And my brother comes in the room, he's like, "What are you crying about, sissy?" And I was like, this is what happened. It's like all those older kids down the street, they threatened to beat me up and they broke all my toys, and like now I'm sad about it. So David went out there and did what tough guys do. I'm over at the head. And he beat them up. Right? And I thought it was over. But I forgot. Nah, it ain't over. I gotta see these kids every day in this neighborhood. And he ain't gonna be with me every day. So I think it was like 3 days later, they waited by the bus stop. And I got off the bus. And the biggest one tackled me to the ground. And they all started to make fun of me. We broke your toys, blah, blah, blah. Go tell your brother again, blah, blah, blah. We broke all your toys. Laughing at me, pointing at me. I'm laying on the ground getting kicked in the stomach and stuff. This sucked. And then I just started to hear them talk about what they could do to me. You know? I don't like this. I don't want to be on the ground anymore. I don't want any of this stuff to happen to me. I don't like it. And then next thing I know, I look over and off goes the shoe. And then the sock. And I hear the one Jeff say to the other one, Josh, "You think you're big, man? That'll teach him." And somehow, that was like as creative as they got. He just stuck his big toe in my mouth and he made me keep it there. And you know, and it was like, and let me tell you, and not until this moment, telling you that story, did I ever realize how lucky I was that the iPhone hadn't been invented then. I mean, that wasn't necessarily the Polaroid moment. You didn't think to yourself, let's have the Polaroid in the back pocket, make sure we capture Stansbury toe sucking for the rest of our lives here on the thing. That was, honestly, man, I like I said, I've told that story one other time before. I hate that story so much. You know why? Because when you're a kid, anything that happens, it happens to you every day, meaning it's all I heard about for like 5 years was the fact that Josh's big toe was halfway down my throat. I didn't like it, which is why these days, when women are being pretty nice to me, I leave my hands, to the side, and I just kind of let it go about it at their own rhythm, because I have been there, and I don't like things forced into my mouth like that. The National will be playing Blossom. That show's in September. I'm going to get caller 15 in right now. 330-450-7625. Toll free at 800-243-7625. Then next, the Toe Sucker gives you New Turd Tuesday on Rock 106.9.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thing.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Don't be a bigot! What a fun time we're having with the mental health conversations in this country, right? I mean, just doing a bang-up job on it. But I'm not surprised we're seeing improvements in there. I wonder how long-lived they'll be. I don't think that's a good enough reason not to do it right now, because I think some reduction in some of these issues in America is exactly what the doctor ordered right now. And I'd rather move to a 4-day work week than see more work from home. We did work from home here for a long time. This. Walking through that sales bullpen to go to the bathroom. Stopping in there after the show's over. Hey, how's everybody doing today? What's going on? Who you meeting with? Can I help you with that? It's increased business. Conversations amongst the employees, talking about what it is we're supposed to be talking about. Yeah, we talk a little this too. We talk a little what's wrong with the kids too. This, but talking about things we should be talking about has created more opportunity for everybody in the building. I don't think it could be denied. But I would rather you see 4 days a week than never come back to the office ever again. Because I just don't think that works. I don't think it does. There are some jobs. Some of you are working from home right now, I know. Hi, Kelly, how are you? Some people do this, and some people do it very well. I don't think it's the bulk of people. Much like I've said about a business owner, most people should not run a business because most people want to go, thank God it's Friday. You're not a business owner. If you're a thank God it's Friday person, you are not a business owner. That's not who you are. I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's just the reality. If 9 to 5 is tough, like I said, wait till you hear about that 24/7, man, because it's a bitch and a half.
Give Stansbury a piece of your mind. Use the TalkBack feature on the iHeartRadio app and let him know just how wrong he is. It's just wrong. The Stansbury Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansbury Show. Tomorrow, have another set of those national tickets to pass out to you. That show's in September at Blossom. Jennifer was pumped this morning when she won her way in there. Jennifer out of Uniontown called in and won last night before going to bed. Apparently, they are David Letterman's favorite band. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but apparently that's what the national is there. You and I most recently have been having the conversation about a 4-day work week. Now, this lies thank you from their boss versus a raise. That would not be true of me. The raise is absolutely what I want and deserve. And I bet that's true of you too. But I once upon a time did walk into the studio and there was a brand new sandwich sitting on the board. And there was a Post-it note that said, "Thanks for everything you do, Dan. We are lucky to have you." I was blown away by that. This is a little bit of a thankless industry. It kind of is. The expectations are high. And when you deliver on said expectations, nobody goes, "Hey, thanks for that." They go, "No, it's what we hired you for. Do it again now." There's no seller, there's no cake, there's no banner, there's no this, there's no that. You better do it again. That's what it is. It's thankless. And so when I came in here and saw that, I was like, oh, I feel appreciated. And it did. It changed my whole month. I think I sold that club. I have the Post-it. I'm not kidding. That Post-it said, nope, I thought I was going to tell you I took it home, but I didn't. It's right there. Kept it right here in the studio. I love that. So I do think that employers need to do a little bit of both here. Now, a lot of you work for a middle manager the way I do. And so they don't always have once you walk out of the office, they got to call somebody else and get the permission to do the thing they want to do, right? And so a lot of times that can be the case. Not looking to go to war with my boss right now. It's just welcome to the reality of some situations, right? Absolutely. But I could see the 4-day work week taking over. I've always questioned, how do you do it? And this, again, this story doesn't tell me how these UK companies did this, because aren't most people going to want Monday or Friday off? I can't imagine that many people are going to be like, give me Wednesday. Now, if your kid's got something going on Wednesdays, or if you got to get here, there may be a few outliers, fair. But what I bet most people want is longer weekend, or get into the weekend sooner, right? Give me Friday, get me my weekend sooner, or give me Monday. I'd rather, have a longer weekend. I would take Monday over Friday, personally. By Sunday morning at 7:15, I'm already like, all right, let's get back into work mode. Like, let's start figuring out what we're talking about tomorrow. Yesterday didn't feel like Sunday fun day until I got to Spring Valley. I worked all morning. And then when I went out and played golf yesterday afternoon, I was like, okay, this feels like Sunday fun day. But for that. Now, I don't want a 4-day work week at all. For me. But it's ego driven. It's just because I don't want anybody else in here. I don't want anybody else doing this for you. I'll do this for you. No. I'll do it. Versus splitting it. When I did afternoons, I went to work sick. Because when I didn't, they would call somebody to fill in. The hell with that. The show goes on without me? Oh, the hell with that. I'll be there. You can find me there tomorrow at noon. I'll be right there. Because again, back then it was, if you take too many sick days, homie ain't dedicated, it's time to throw you out. Homie ain't all in, man. He ain't one of these dudes that wants to chain himself to the board. He ain't in. He ain't one of us. Throw him out. It was a little bit more like that. It's flipped around now, and this industry's gotten much more pleasant about, go to work when you feel like it. Take the day off whenever the hell you want. In the book, screw it, man. Take the day off. Work-life balance. I mean, over this is mine. This is my territory. This is my space. And you fight and claw against everything out to keep everybody else out of it. Shield in hand. Let's go. This is Sparta. That's literally what it is. I mean, that's kind of what it is. And so you don't ever want to give an inch in that. I mean, not an inch. You give a programmer, I'm working now, yes, but I'll work tonight from like 6:30 to 8, and then I'll work again later. But this is what people aren't going to want to give up. But if we gave up the Amazon at work, and the Facebooking, and the this, and the that, and maybe the listening to me, most people in the world have children. And so, I don't, but if you told me we need to rework the workday to closer to the school day to make these kids most important one. Well, if it's that goddamn important, then give people the time they need.
We expected you to cancel him by now.
Well, my horoscope said that I shouldn't assume responsibility for anybody but myself.
The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansberry Show, where we have been talking about the 4-day work week a little. 61, I think it was, UK companies did it. Went on for about a year. Of them, the bulk of them are now going to continue it, right? So not everybody listens to every segment. I understand that. People kind of come in and out of the conversation. And a lot of people had the question, well, am I getting paid the same? Or are they taking more money away from me? No, that was the whole point, that you would get paid the exact same. You'd work one day less, and they wanted to check productivity. So employee happiness, which used to be on the list of a benchmark of whether or not a company was successful, it used to be one of the things that was like, are our employees happy? That was part of it. That's fallen by the wayside a long time ago now. Isn't it hilarious? Like, this is my favorite part about corporate America, and we'll get back to the 4-day work week here in a minute. Every corporation trips over themselves to say, we care. So-and-so cares. Find out more about our caring mission at company.com/cares about the community, blank. Whatever, right? They all do it. Mine does it, your company does it, everybody does it. So you care about everybody else. You care about every other issue except for the people who actually work for you. Like, that's why people find all of this stuff obnoxious, and it became really, really obvious in COVID. When everybody was lying to you about how they were in it with you and all of this, it was like, oh my God, you big fat lying sacks. You think we're gonna die, and so you're trying to look nice. It's awful. Like, you don't give a damn. Stop lying. You don't care, right? Like, it was like, that became really annoying. And I don't believe they're doing the 4-day work week for you. They're finding out productivity stayed the same. So screw it. I also think that they're looking at it from another way. It's like, isn't this how we keep salaries low? Hey, buddy, sorry, we took an entire day off your work schedule and nothing changed. I think we might be paying you too much as it is, let alone giving you more. Oh, damn it, I never thought of that. Yeah, exactly, right? That's how they're going to end up lowering the salaries in the future. Maybe not today, but that's how that's going to end up happening. We can have that conversation once we get there, and you can tell me how right I was, right? Now, what do you do about the 5th day, rather? Everybody's going to want Monday, everybody's going to want Friday. So many people said, well, just let everybody take the same day. Okay, cool. So businesses are just shut on Monday? They're just closed down on Friday? Like, that can't be the system. We know that. Talked about in these stories. And so, you know what? We'll dig this back up for the 7 o'clock hour tomorrow. There's a lot to address here, but they kept pay the same. They just took